All right. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. It's the third Wednesday of the month, which means it's time for our monthly mixed game Q&A demo with Jake. So I'm happy to be joined by Jake Hirschfield from Unshuffled.io. Here at RecPoker, we firmly believe that mixed games are the future of poker, and they're just more fun. Every time you go into a casino, you see the tables where players are playing mixed games. It's not just hoodies and earphones. People are laughing, drinking, having a good time. So if you're a no limit hold'em player, I love no limit hold'em too, but you got to kind of spread your wings and fly into the mixed game scene a little bit. So Jake's program, Unshuffled.io, the platform that he's created, is a fantastic way to play with your friends. It's a social way to play poker, and it's a great way to sort of demonstrate how some of these different games are played. So this week or this month, we're going to be talking about no limit deuce to seven single draw. And if you don't know what any of those words mean so far, that's okay. We're going to break it down for you. Jake, I just want to say thanks for joining me again and talking to some recreational players about these mixed games.
It's my absolute pleasure. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about this game that sounds very intimidating with the in the title, but is actually quite simple in terms of gameplay.
So yeah, so let's start with that. So just from the title, deuce to, so no limit, I think people understand. It's you can bet as much as you want on any street. Deuce to seven just means that those are you're playing with a full deck, but you're trying to make that low not straight. That's the low hand is the one that wins here. And single draw just refers to the number of times that you get to trade in your cards. How am I doing so far, Jake?
Pretty much got it exactly right. I mean, the way I would sort of describe it is almost like five card draw,
Yep.
like a simple five card draw variation, except the best hand is 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
There you
And
go.
that's why it's called deuce to seven triple draw or
All
single
right.
draw. Triple draw is like a very common variation of the game where you draw three times.
Yes.
Single draw is typically the no limit variation.
And are all these cards in our hand? Are they up cards, or are these a series of up and down cards with different turns
They're
of
all they're
betting?
all they're all they're all up cards to the player. There's no like open cards to everyone else, like in seven card stud.
Yep.
Um, and each player's dealt five cards to start the game. There's a round of betting. I think typically you can play with antes or blinds. I've seen
Hmm.
it with blinds mostly, but you could play it with both. It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Um, you do a round of betting after the first set of cards is dealt, and then there's a round of drawing cards, and players can draw as many cards as they want, so they can get rid of their whole hand. I think.
Ah, all right.
Um, some different depends on how you want to play. I've seen it where you can only get rid of up to four or up to
Yep.
three, but I think sort of by the letter of the law, you could get rid of all five cards if you wanted to. Um, if you're getting rid of all five cards, you're probably not playing the right way.
Right. You
Probably not a
probably
very good
shouldn't have
card.
called that bet on the.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it doesn't happen that often. And then there's one more betting round, and then you just reveal. It's a showdown. So it's really simple. It goes pretty quickly. I mean, the draw round can take a little bit of time because people are
Sure.
thinking about, strategy, how many cards do I really want to give away? Your strategy may change based on the way other players draw cards or make bets, but um, generally speaking, there are some cool tricks and like strategies to stick to you that can help you, beat a novice player or a newbie in this type of game.
Cool. Yeah, I think one of the things about draw games that always interests me is this idea that players kind of just they kind of demonstrate the strength of their hand by the number of cards that they're drawing. And so the opportunity to bluff can come up a little bit if someone's drawing a lot of cards. You don't actually have to have a very strong hand necessarily. You can kind of make an educated guess that they didn't draw particularly well. What are the odds if they draw, three or four cards that they're all going to make that low hand?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I think that's kind of an interesting element of this. I don't play a lot of draw games myself because I'm one of those people I was admonishing earlier who mostly plays no limit hold'em. But I
Mm-hmm.
am trying to dip a toe in a little more here and exercise the brain a bit.
And like all poker games, like the more players that are playing, the more you have to think about how good your hand is.
Hmm.
But even more so, I think in a single round draw game like this, where if you're playing with maybe four people, maybe if you need to draw two cards to make a good five card hand, and remember we're playing 2 to 7,
Yep.
like you might get away with it. But if you're playing at like an 8-handed table or 10-handed table, um, you might have some problems if you're trying to draw more than one card on any given hand. Like
Yep.
typically someone's going to have a non-paired set of 5 cards with a high of, no more than a 10. So if you pair anything on your draw, which is likely if you're drawing for 2, or create a straight or anything like that, you're going to lose.
Yep. And you were saying that the best hand is 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
7. Correct. So in 2 to 7 single draw, straights count against you. Ace is always played high.
Okay.
And pairs. So the best hand is 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. The next best hand is 2, 3, 4, 5, 8.
Okay.
Right.
Or is it 7, 6?
No, it's 7,
4,
6.
3, 2? Yeah. How does it go?
No, it's not because. Sorry. Yes, it's 7, 7, 6. Hold on. Let me pull up my hand ranking real quick.
Yeah. This always breaks my brain.
Me
Where
too.
where the gap is in the hands for hand strength here.
That's why it's nice to have a computer software just do it for you.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And that's
So
one of the
yeah,
things I
you were
love
right.
about
So
Unshuffled. It's a lot like playing at home, the way that you kind of deal the deck, you manipulate the deck as if you're the dealer. But I know when you've got a template set up like this, it can actually just kind of streamline that whole process. And
yeah, it's more like your standard online poker software. You just set up the game and then you just play. You don't have to worry about dealing cards or anything like that. So it's 7, 5, 4, 3, 2 is the wheel. That's
Yep.
the best hand. Then it's 7, 6, 4, 3, 2. And then it's 7, 6, 5, 3, 2. And then 7, 6, 5, 4, 2.
Okay.
And then you go to 8, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Right.
And it's 8, 6, 4, 3, 2. And so on and so forth.
So the highest cards in your hand are essentially the determiner of how strong the hand is. So a 7, 6, 4 is better or worse than 7, 6, 5 if you have.
It is better.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think I got it. I think I got it.
And it's one of those things where like having maybe the top 10 hands like ranked somewhere on your computer on your desk while you're playing.
Yeah.
Kind of helpful. That's what I do when I play. I have like, because then you also remember the format, like seeing just a couple of them, you're like, okay, like I get how the highest card is a dictator of how well good your hand is, and then it descends to the next highest and the next highest. So you can kind of figure out your hand rankings as you're playing. But without it, you're not playing a lot. It gets confusing.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. All right. Well, let's fire up Unshuffled and go through a hand or two and sort of show our audience exactly what it looks like to play a hand of no limit deuce to 7 single draw. Even just saying
it's kind
it,
of a tongue twister, isn't it?
Sorry?
Kind of a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. Well, there's so many different varieties of deuce to 7. There's so many different varieties of draw games out there. It's easy to get confused, which is why I really appreciate you kind of taking the time to go through this so comprehensively with us.
Sure. So we're gonna go ahead and play the computer. You can set your initial buy-in to be arranged. Typically, when I'm playing with my buddies, we just set it to be one number because we don't want people coming in at different values. I'm not going to set a turn timer, so we can take our time every hand. But
nice.
If you wanted to turn dealer's choice on and check every time the dealer gets to choose what game they want to play, they can do that. We're going to leave that off. We're going to go ahead and select our. Let's just find it really quick. We got a lot of games here. 2 to 7 low ball single draw. We'll just turn blinds on with an ante, not super critical, depending on how you want to do it. And then we'll go ahead and click play now.
Awesome. And Jake, if I've got a free account here at Unshuffled, I can just send that link out to my friends and they can join immediately, right? They don't even have to form their own account.
That's right. If I sent my room link to you, Jim, and you don't have an account, you can sign in as a guest.
Awesome.
So you don't have to go through the whole sign up process when you're trying to play.
Nice.
No one thinks anything more than you've got your game ready, you got everyone ready to go, and then everyone has to create an account for something it's just a hassle. So just sign in as a guest and you're good to go.
Fantastic.
And then we go ahead and buy into the room. We've got our computer players, we're in our lobby, and we start the game. So right away, you can hear there's some sound effects. I'm going to turn them off for the sake of the game.
Sure.
Um, we've got our chat feature here, so I can send other players chats. We've got our standings, which will
Nice.
show, the net winnings of the players, and we've got our game log as well, which shows every action. So you have
Sweet.
kind of an audit log of the game. And then down here below, where there's this blank screen, is actually where the camera would be. Because we're playing with computer players, it doesn't turn on because there's no reason
Okay.
to consume resources. But
Right.
typically, this space becomes video, and you can talk to the other players.
Yeah, nice. And that's an underrated feature, being able to actually like talk to your friends and see their faces and have that kind of rapport with people. I think that's missing from a lot of the online games that we see today. So it's a great feature here. It's more fun that
Well,
way.
we like it because you don't have to set up a Zoom and have because then you're not actually looking at the Zoom, so you don't know whether people can actually look at your face or maybe you're like
Right.
on the side or like looking up here. But you've got your poker screen up, like the poker software up. Uh, and then maybe you're on mute, but you don't know because you don't see the little muted sign. So we like it too. It's nice. You can also actually I don't have any of those features. You don't have any of those features on this version because we're playing with computer players, but you
Right.
have the ability to turn your camera off. You can mute yourself, all that stuff.
Nice.
So we'll go ahead and start the hand, and every player is going to get 5 cards. Let me move my Zoom thing here. Cool. And right away, you see we paired our sixes. We've got an ace, which is high. We've got a queen, which is high. And we've got a 2, which is low. So typically, I probably wouldn't call here because, like, in theory, I might want to get rid of 4 cards. Ace is high. Queen is high. 6 and 6. Actually, 3 cards because you could keep one of the sixes.
Right. That makes sense.
For the sake of the game, we'll go ahead and call. We can play a few hands because the computer players will deal the same cards. And that's one of the reasons why I like playing with computer. You can kind of practice different games and learn how to play them.
Yes, definitely.
Um,
And so the pairs are bad because they increase the rank of your hand to 1 pair. And
correct.
aces are bad because they're high. And we're trying to have a hand that has the lowest possible high card while still not making a low straight.
Exactly.
Okay.
So during the draw round, you'll see down here there's this text that says drag desired cards to discard pile and select done.
Yep.
So I'm just going to drag the cards I want into this little discard pile here. Sorry. And then I'm going to click done.
Okay.
We'll do one more betting round and then we'll figure out who the winner is.
All right.
So
Awesome.
the first card I'm going to get rid of is one of my sixes because that's a pair. We don't like that.
Yep.
And then I'm going to get rid of my ace. And let's just keep the queen because I don't want to like, I'm worried that no, let's get rid of the queen too. Why not?
Shoot for the moon.
Why not? And then we go ahead and click done. We get 3 more cards. All right. So we don't have any pairs anymore.
Now, what about flushes? I see we've got 4 diamonds. I know 4 doesn't matter, but if we had 5, would that be a problem?
It would be. Yeah, flushes are worse than straights, actually.
Yes.
So, right. So we don't want that. So at this point, we probably check if we were playing and everyone checked US, but maybe we bet whatever we want. Let's bet so people can see the software. You see, we've got all these different options.
Yep.
You can raise the bet by however much you want. Let's just raise it by 80. Maybe someone will fold. Unlikely. Maybe we'll get a few folds.
Yep.
And then we'll call, and we won with our king high.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Again, like I said, when you're playing against 3 opponents, king high is much more likely to win than if you're playing in like a big game.
And especially when there's only a single draw opportunity, it's just I can see how it's common that people are going to end up with a pair
right.
if they draw multiple cards. It's just going to happen a certain frequency of the time, and king high just beats a pair, so that makes sense.
That's right. So now we've got what could be an amazing hand.
Yeah, it looks really strong.
We're in great shape. Queen obviously kills us if we're playing with a larger group, but otherwise, everything looks good. The only thing you have to worry about here is your risk of drawing a straight with a 6.
Right. So if we ditch the queen, the best possible card would be a 2 because it would actually make the nuts. A 6 would be a problem because it would make a straight. And then the next best card would be an 8, I guess, so that it would
Yep.
be 8-7 down. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, so the only things we don't want to see when we do our draw round are a 6, a 3, 4, 5, or 7.
Oh,
And
right.
then
Yeah, no
anything other
fair.
than that is like it's not great, but we have a queen anyway, so we can only do worse with a king or an ace.
Yep. Good
So
point.
even if we get a jack, we're kind of happy because we've improved our hand.
Yeah, we've improved. And
So
is there anything could we learn anything from our opponent's decision to draw or not that might make us choose maybe not even to throw the queen away? Like if everyone drew like 4 cards, we might stand pat here with queen high. Is that right?
totally, totally. Probably in this experience with these computer players, it will be hard to determine because with all the different variations, the the bots on Unshuffled don't have intelligence in some of the mixed games.
Okay,
So we
yeah,
have
that
them
makes
sort of
sense.
doing it's less AI driven and more just like randomness driven. Um, that AI is something we can add because we have it for some of the other more standard games, which we use in our challenges and some of that other stuff where they're actually
Yeah.
thinking about what you're doing and how strong their hand is and what's on the board. But for this, what you're saying is very true. Position is really important in a game like this because if people are drawing lots of cards and you've got a pretty good hand, like yeah, just stand pat. You don't want to ruin it by drawing a paired card or something like that.
Right, right. And
So
Jake's bearing the lead a little bit there. One of the things that's great about Unshuffled is that you can play any number of different kind of mixed games, even games that you make up yourself, and teach it
that's
how to
right.
play. So it would be unrealistic to expect all the bots to be experts in games that haven't even been created yet. So that makes a lot of sense.
That's right. So we're and one other thing too that's kind of nice. You're in a draw round because this little turnaround in progress text come up at the top.
Ah,
There won't be any betting that happens. Now you're just drawing cards. I think we should go for the queen because like why not? We have a chance
yep,
to win. That's kind of cool.
yep.
And then oh we got it. We got
Whoa!
it. I
That's
swear I didn't plan that.
yeah, yeah. Hashtag rigged.
Right. And it's a no limit game, so we're just gonna go all in. We'll probably get some calls because they're computer players.
Yep,
And yeah, that's pretty awesome. And you
that's
can see we got a
fantastic.
side pod here too. We got the side pod here as
Oh yeah,
well.
right. Look at
Um,
that.
we won both. You can look at
Yeah,
the game log and let's go up to the last hand. And you can see Jake won with a high card 3-5-7-4-2.
yep. That's amazing. Boy.
And that's much it.
Not,
Then you get the standings, and you can see. Oh, it looks like we've got to fix that because the
oh,
text
just the color
dark.
of the yeah.
Yeah, that's probably something that came out in our last release. But one nice thing when you're playing with your friends is during the game we show you your total buy-in
Right.
relative to your net winnings.
Right.
So sometimes at the end of the game, if you're playing for a while, there's been a lot of buy-ins, and you're trying to settle up at the end of the game. Not saying that we're playing for money on our platform, but
No, no, no.
um, finding the net winnings number just right here is like pretty convenient.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mhm.
And that's, a lot of poker reporting doesn't really think about net winnings that often. They're mostly out there just talking about cashes and
Right.
total gross, but net winnings is kind of the most important score if you think about it. So,
It's like revenue and profit. It's like revenue is great, but if you are losing money, that's never great.
yeah, that's right. That's awesome.
uh,
Cool.
so that's it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much how the game works. It's like I said, it's pretty simple, and the hands can go relatively quick if people are playing fast. Which is
Yep.
kind of nice because there's only 2 betting rounds.
Yeah.
So you can play a lot of hands, which is kind of fun.
And I like that you get to practice here against the computer, because you're really just practicing your own evaluation of when to draw, what you're drawing to, that kind of thing. Like this looks like a pretty good hand as well. We might choose to keep the 10, or we might choose to ditch the 10 and try and get a 4 or a 5, I guess. But it would be hard. It's actually kind of hard to improve, really. If you
Yeah, I
think,
mean, you have to draw a 4, 5, 8, or 9.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, okay, that's about a quarter of the deck, so that's not the
Just
end of the
core
world.
the deck. I mean, it's not terrible. You run the risk. Your chances of not improving are much higher.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And it's not a terrible hand. I mean, especially playing with 4 players, it's probably gonna win. I probably wouldn't draw a card, but I'm also kind of conservative when it comes to drawing.
Yeah.
Um, so I think this is kind of like you could go either way. It depends on how many people you're playing with and what the other guys at the table are doing.
And if people there's like a shorthand to talking about hands like this. So if people were talking about their hand, they'd say, "Oh, I had I'm sitting here on 10-7-6." Because that's kind of like the most relevant part of the hand. If the odds of someone else also having 10-7-6 as their top 3 cards is pretty low. So the actual lowest cards aren't quite as relevant as you might think. Is that true?
Yeah, and there's actually terminology which like people who play single draw or like these kinds of low games will use that might confuse you. I don't use them because I'm not super familiar with them, but you would call it like 8-6, was it 8-6-4-3-2
Yeah.
is called a like perfect eight or
Oh,
eight
okay.
nuts. And then smooth would be you've got like 8-7. And then rough would be the worst hand with eight being the high.
I see. And based on
Um,
where the gap is in the
right.
in the straight, in the not straight.
And I might have even said it wrong because I'm not familiar with the terminology,
Sure.
but they do have it as like rough is, I've got the worst possible version of an eight high hand.
Right.
Uh, smooth is I've got like the like second best version or middle version of this hand, and then I think nuts is clear; it's the best version.
Sweet. That's
Mhm.
cool. Um, so the this is just one of the mixed games that are offered here on Unshuffled. And like I said, you can program it to play your own. You can kind of just set up a deck and deal it out yourself. And there's a bunch of different ways to get into the intricacies of using it to recreate your own home games. But you also have a series of like challenges and prizes that you guys give out every week and month and that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about that. Now, are those all no limit hold'em just because that's the game that most people play?
Yep, right now we do mostly no limit hold'em, and we have a couple different ways to play. So under the play now section, we have sit and go events. There aren't any active right now. We'll probably refresh that tonight, and there'll be more.
Yep.
We've got challenges. This is the most common way for people to play. It's essentially you play 30 hands against a number of AI bots, and you have 5 different attempts. So you could play today 30 hands, you could play tomorrow 30 hands up to 5 times. And then when the event closes, which is in 158 hours, the person at the top of the leaderboard is going to win $25.
That's amazing. And
So
it's
is
free to
every time
play.
completely free to play.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
So,
I
and
like
what
the
that looks
sound of
like
that.
is
We're
you
gonna
just you
come
just
play for
join the
free and
event, you see the buy-in, and then when you start the game, it's these similar bots, and you can start the hand,
yep,
and you'll see the hand that you're on when the hand begins. And then we increase the speed of the computer players
sure.
so that the game moves a little faster. And
Yep.
so you can play quickly and get through the hands that you want to. Um, and then you'll see up at the top here, move your little zoom guy. We've got the number of hands remaining. So you see 30. You can take a look at the room settings if you want, which will tell
Right
you,
on.
you know, the game, the buy-in, the big blind, small blind, max bets, table stakes, and then I can also, if I was hard of sight and wanted a little more contrast, I can go into view settings and turn on the 4 colored suits
Oh, right on.
option. So now we've got the yellow is a little hard to see, but you
No,
just
but
know.
it stands out. I like that. Yep.
Uh-huh. And then you can just play poker. It's pretty simple. And you'll see when the hand ends, like we just won this hand, you'll get a nice indication, okay, like hand 2 of 30.
Right.
So now we got to play the next hand and so on and so forth.
Yep. Cool.
Um, so it's just one fun way to play poker that's a little different from everywhere else because you don't have to worry about people leaving.
Yep.
Um, you're guaranteed the 30 hands. You can play whenever you want to. You can play on your phone, the browser. We have an app. And we're in the process of building out our club product, which I won't talk about too much right now, but it'll be a way for players to play unlimited poker against other players and win much bigger prizes. So think of it as like a series of step tournaments where you can play challenges to win step 2 tickets,
Yep.
and then you can play in sit and goes and MTTs against other players to win a final ticket. And then if you win that final event, you might win $1,000 or $500 or $5,000 or something like that. And we're looking to partner with golf club companies, maybe some like sports books to do credits for big entries into like fun sports betting competitions and stuff, things that you wouldn't normally do. But if you want an event, it's like, oh, like I have an entry into the $1 million maker on DraftKings. Like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. Why not do it? So,
Yeah,
should be fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so you've got like different challenges running all the time. If people just go to www.unshuffled.io, this is like the main page that they'll see, and there's this just like join play challenge or find a game and
Yep.
get involved.
So yeah, that's exactly right. So if you've never been here before, you're gonna see it's gonna look like this. And in full transparency, the homepage is gonna change here pretty soon. So
Okay.
a little different, but it should be a little more clear.
Yeah.
And you'll see down below we've got, signing up with Google or Facebook. You can create an account, and then down below you can just click find a room. And like we had said earlier, you don't
Yes.
even have to be signed in to play in challenges. You can play as a guest. So if
Cool.
I go ahead and join, you can see continue as guest.
All right. All right.
And I can play those 30 hands. And then if I want my score to count on the leaderboard, at the end of the 30 hands, you'll be prompted with an opportunity to create an account and your score will count. But if you
That's
don't want to,
awesome. Nice.
yeah,
Well,
pretty
I
cool.
can see why people love it, man. It's a great way to kind of dip a toe in, see if you're gonna like it, experiment with some different games, and play for free and win a real cash prize.
Yeah. Yeah,
We love
it's pretty
that.
cool. It's been a fun, you know, almost 3 years now. Wow, it's crazy to say.
Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I hope folks enjoyed this. Jake and I get together every month. Sometimes we bring in John Somsky and some other RecPoker members to talk about their favorite mixed games. And there's always a cool new challenge coming up, or a cup, or some series of steps, or that sort of thing. So, Jake, it's just great hanging out with you every month and getting to talk about mixed games, man. Thanks for joining.
It's my absolute pleasure. I love this. This is one of my favorite things I do every month. So I hope we can keep doing it.
All right, well,
We gotta come up with some more mixed games.
yeah, that's good point. I'm gonna start getting into the lab and see what John Somsky and I can come up with. We'll create some of our own for next time.
I got some wild ones. If you ever want to jump into something crazy, we can try something crazy. And
We should definitely do that. We should definitely do that. All right.
Definitely.
Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Jake, and we'll see you again next month.
Sounds good. See you guys.